Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Aline. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride. Are you a coach, author, speaker, or service provider who is afraid of speaking on camera? Join the Confident Video Star Nation to overcome your fear. Connect with other professionals, gain access to exclusive resources, trainings, and tools, and learn the skills to become a confident video star. Join now and start your journey to success. Go to Facebook and type in Confident Video Star Nation and join the nation today. All right, everyone. We are hanging out. We are spending time with Monte Armstrong. Monte, how you doing?
How you doing? Doing great.
Cool. Well, it's great to have you aboard, Monte. You and I we've known each other, what, 6 months now?
Yeah, something like that. Give or take.
Something like that, 6 months, give or take. Yeah, and it's great to have you aboard. And we have a lot of fun. We're in the same mastermind. We're in the same community. And a lot of amazing people we get a chance to meet. And it's great that we can do what we do online. Yeah. And serve also local businesses as well. You know,
that's what I do.
That's what you do. Amazing. That's a good thing. We need it. You know, local businesses, service providers, need it as well. You know, so Monte, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, I help not only businesses but individuals with any kind of computer problem. You know, if you have a problem that has a computer attached, that's where I help. So that ranges from broken computer screens to I can't check my email. And on the business side, you know, my printer's not working or my website's not up or anything that deals with the internet and or computers.
Oh, man. It's funny. I was trying to get into one of my accounts today and I had trouble. I won't say the brand name. but it's just the trigger. It just got triggered. From that
it happens to everybody.
It happens to everyone, you know. And I love, you know, even when we connect, you know, I love hearing things like that from you because it reminds me, okay, I could keep calm and keep chugging forward and try to figure it out with the things I need to do. But I tell you, you know, with what you do, it's very needed. You're very needed. You're kind of like the MacGyver technology.
Yeah, some people have called me the computer whisperer.
The computer whisperer. Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Make that computer whisperer. Crazy.
It reminds me just like this is really a role for everything. Like there's the job needed in every single space, even if you know, and that's like a specific niche. I like that.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. And it's great to see. It's great to see how I get a chance to witness how you serve people, Monte. And then sometimes, depending on what's going on in a given week, sometimes I get to see how you serve people on a daily basis. You know, even if it's an encouragement with if we're in a particular Facebook group and you're giving input and you're giving instruction, or if you're doing a study hall, or if you're doing a coaching, you know, that's like a form of coaching, and it's pretty cool to see what you do and how you serve people and how you put people at ease. Computer whisperer.
Well, that's the whole point is the helping the people part. So if that's all you focus on, then it's just natural. It's just easy. The rest of it just falls into place. So I haven't had any problems with getting business going, and I don't do any advertising whatsoever.
Wow.
And I have to turn people away at this point. And that's sad, but there's just not enough of me to go around.
Right. And on top of that, you have one of the smoothest voices around online.
Well, I appreciate that. I attribute that to being able to help people through their stressful situations when they're ready to just throw their computer out the window and
we all been there.
Calm them down and let them know it's okay. Everybody has these problems, even me. You know, people think, oh, you're the computer guy. Your computer must behave itself. No, I just have a little bit more experience on what to do next. That's all.
That's the key. What to do next. I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
I got a question, Monty. Can you explain to us what internet technology is and like how can you really promote it as a service?
Well, internet technologies is kind of a broad term. It kind of depends on your context and the person that's using the term. But if we focus on promoting a local service business and the internet technologies associated with that, I like to use the term web presence in that circumstance. So websites, business listings, social media, all that kind of stuff is part of your web presence. And any technology that is involved with those, which there are tracking and analytics and scheduling apps, all sorts of things that can help you with that genre of information.
That's cool.
So
That's really cool. It's needed. It's needed. But so even with that, Monty, what do you think are like the most important steps, like a business owner should take when it comes to promoting their services online?
Well, that web presence is like a gem. It's like a diamond, and it's got all kinds of facets to it. And it only sparkles when all the facets are polished, or lots of them are polished. So we need to identify where our customers are at and which facet is facing them, and polish those facets of the web presence to make that shine and get out there to the right people.
What a metaphor. It's like a diamond. When you said that, I was like, ooh, diamond in the rough. You about to say that?
right. Yeah, when I think about like diamonds, you gotta like search for them, right? So they're not sometimes it could be like a hidden gem and people are just searching for it. And when they finally come across it, that's what you've been preparing for. That's what you've been sharpening. So I like that point right there. That was real.
Yeah. And it's a great metaphor to get people, because, with some of these things we talk about, we even talk about today, it's not, in some people's minds, it's not always the most attractive thing, because it's like, but it's so necessary. We got to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But when you put in that metaphor, it's like, wow, it kind of draws you closer to it. It draws you towards it to be able to make it happen. So it's like what needs to be done. You make it attractive. You make it, make those steps simple and attractive for people.
And simplified. That's the point. That's the different facets, because people are afraid. They're like, oh, I got all these things to do. I got to do the website, and I got to do the social media, and I got to do my posting, and I got to do my business listings. I got to do the Google thing. And it's like, oh, well, wait on, just one facet at a time. Polish your Google facet. It's all right. Is that shiny? All right. Now let's go on. Let's look at the website. Let's polish that one a little bit. One step at a time.
Yeah. I got some work to do later today. I got some production stuff to do. I'm gonna take that analogy and use it to what I gotta do.
Awesome.
One step at a time too. That's helpful.
One step at a time.
You overwhelmed with everything. Just one step, like, just helps you get started.
Right. CJ, got another question?
Yeah. How would you say, like, for business owners, right? How would you say, or what's your input on how to make sure they're seen, by potential customers, and make sure that they're getting out there and being seen by different customers?
Well, that is also dependent on what type of business and what type of customers they're looking for. The old traditional advertising was just, get attention, and billboards and radio and TV and flyers hanging on the telephone poles, anything to get eyes on your information. And then that evolved into the more modern of advertising when we had social media come along and search engines, so that people didn't have to just rely on a billboard and driving by it. They could actually, with intent, search intent, look for something and have that come up. And, and there's still the old school tactics like word of mouth and just talking to people and asking people to refer you to other people. And then there's the cutting edge tactics with content marketing, which is kind of what, you and I, Carl, are not kind of, but that's what we've been working on lately. And we use content marketing across your gym of web presence.
I love that. I'm visualizing like across, like I'm looking at a whole bunch of gems and how they're connected together. And then depending on what you do, right, you gravitate towards that and you polish it up, and then you move on to the next one, and then you want all of them shining ultimately at the same time, but you take each step towards that. So
And you can
each gem.
prioritize it easily by saying, well, which gem or which facet is facing my ideal customer at this time? And that's the one I want to polish next.
Oh man, this is good. This is good, Monte. This is awesome. I love that. Oh,
Analogies.
Man.
That's how I interpret from computer talk to human speak.
Right. So you remove, you also don't just have a smooth voice. You also remove the jargon to however the customer needs it.
Yep. Techno babble will just confuse. Got to find words that people understand.
Right.
Speaking your customer's language.
Absolutely. And that's different. Not necessarily the same analogies for different people.
Yeah.
Right. So for you, Monte, what would be like your favorite, or what would you say are the most? Well, actually, you already answered that question, but for you, what would be your favorite avenues to go towards as far as Gem as a social media platform?
Well, for my area, when it depends on which avatar. So on my end user avatar, the person sitting at their computer wondering what to do next, I orientate towards alleviating their problems that are right in front of them. When I'm wanting to talk to a small business owner who is wanting to be found on search, then I want to orientate towards their desires on their avatar. I guess that's the difference. I'm a direct avatar or an intermediate avatar.
Wow, I love that. Now, for those who don't know, avatar, that's your target audience. So what Monte's talking about, that's like next level, because it all depends on where your customer is. So if your customer is on like Facebook, you're going to go to Facebook. If it's even Google, you do the Google search thing, right? If it's on Instagram,
Absolutely.
Instagram. So it's like you have it's not even like, for a lot of us, we're saying a specific platform, but you're like, look, hey, I'm gravitating to exactly where my avatar is. And that's very intuitive. That's not always easy for someone to do with marketing. So
no,
it's
hard to identify where they're at sometimes.
Right.
You know, so sometimes it's just a testing, trial and error to figure that part out. But that's ultimately what you're trying to figure out. Otherwise, you're just doing the old traditional type of advertising where you're just blasting out to as many people as possible. But using that avatar, that ideal customer, the profile, you can market towards a niche and cut out all that other noise.
Cut out the noise.
That's real.
Put the bullhorn away.
Man, it's so easy just to like kind of put stuff out there for everybody. Especially because like there's 7 billion people in the world. Like, why wouldn't everybody want to see it? But when you shrink down to your niche, it's so important to really find your target audience in a way, because those are people that are going to gravitate to it, and it's going to expand even more than putting out to everybody. So that's definitely really important.
And you can help those people more anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And so rather than trying to help 100 people a little bit, if you can help 10 people a whole bunch, the result is better both on their end and on your end. Your sense of accomplishment is higher, and it motivates you to do more.
Yeah. Spot on, man.
Right on.
I got a question. What challenges do you see local business providers? What challenges do they face when they're trying to promote their business out there, promote their services out there?
Well, local service business is a little bit difficult to start out, because people don't know where to start. Because with retail, it's fairly easy because you have an item, you have a picture to show, and it's kind of more intuitive. And so when I was trying to figure out how to promote, that was where to start. So once I figured out where to start, then that helped. But what things really matter, because again, we're talking about all these different facets of gyms, and some are going to have a higher impact than others. So you want to identify which ones are going to give you the most bang for your buck, and then the amount of time required. When you're first starting out a business, that's probably, well, on some aspects you have a lot of extra time, but on the other aspect is you don't want to waste it. So figuring out which things are going to, again, most bang for your buck in the terms of time, so that you're spending the least amount of time and getting the most amount of return. But once you identify where to start, which things are most important, and what things are most time efficient, then you can really pinpoint where to put your money in.
That's powerful, man. Because one thing I think about, it's funny when I think about, it's not even just with business, but a lot of things in life. A lot of people could talk about steps. But one thing I think about, maybe it's the artist in me, in my artist background, but I think about the whole process of the learning curve. And so what you just broke down there, I kind of put in there, okay, well, it helps me to think about and consider. And when I ask myself those questions, okay, I got to set aside time for the learning curve, because some things is going to take me some time to learn. And the cool thing with technology, you could delegate to people, or you can get someone to coach. Like even with what you do, you can coach people with and help them navigate through what they need to get through. And even with that, though, there's a learning curve. So when asking yourself those questions, it's good to have that in place too. Like, okay, think about the process. What are some potential? You can think ahead, but there's only so much that you're going to get out of it, because some things you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. But giving yourself that cushion within that process to think, you know what, there's going to be a learning curve there. Let me try to put that in the budget of time as well. Maybe think about that. What you said,
right?
Yeah, and it goes on to, we're talking about where to start, but you also want to do almost the same process midway through and further on. You want to find out, are these things that I'm doing giving me the results that I want, and am I spending my time wisely with these things and getting the results that I want? Because even though you might be getting the result you want, if you're spending 5 hours of your day to get it, you might want to look at other ways to get that same result and not use as much time.
Right. I think that everything combined reminds me of like working smarter, not harder. It's like, it takes time. It's going to take time starting out, but I think once you master the process, take the time, a few months, years, maybe working on that craft, it's going to help you to figure out, what do I need to lessen this? Do I need to maybe put more time, more effort? But it's going to teach you how to work smart for you. And I've struggled with wondering how to work smarter, not harder, because it's like, this is hard. You know what I mean? But if you can figure out the process, which is going to take time, then you're going to figure out how to, okay, I can work smarter and not take too long to do that.
Right. Each human is different. So just because one method is faster for one person doesn't mean that it's faster for another person. Right. So that's where that testing and trying stuff out is really, really important, because if you just rely on someone else's word, that's great to get started. But, their outlook, your outlook, the way you process information, it's a little different. So I have clients who they would rather take 6 extra steps because it eliminates the chance of human error. Whereas another client is like, 6 extra steps, that's lame. I'd rather do it in 2 steps. And once in a while I make an error and I'll figure it out.
Wow. I love that. I had to take a beat, because for our audience, take a minute, rewind, and play that again. Because Monte, what you gave what is given or should be given in courses and coaching programs. You talked about the process of, not just the process, but the process of the beginning, the middle, and the end. And even after that process, and even during the process, looking back and saying, hey, what can I tweak? And I love how you talked about, it's important to test things out as well, to see what works and what doesn't work for you. And then also you even mentioned, and that comes with experience, like, hey, one client is gonna be different from the other. One person's preference is gonna be different from the other. So for our audience, it's important, as you're thinking about what you need to do when you're working your service online. If you're a local business, a local service provider, it's important to think about these things. And if you need someone to help you out, get some coaching on it, get some help on it, because it can be, I can attest, it can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming at times.
Absolutely.
So that's some gold right there. That's some diamonds right there.
Mhm.
That's what he said.
I love that. You can use analogy anything. It's
And
crazy.
you know, you
Yourself.
analogize. Yes, absolutely. So, Monty, what do you think are some key benefits of using internet technologies to promote local services?
No, it just falls back into what we were just talking about
Hmm.
saving time and effort and getting the most bang for your buck. So, I mean, ultimately, it's going to make jobs easier, so you don't use as much energy thinking,
Yeah.
and it's going to be faster, so it can give you back some of that time, so you can spend doing things that you love. It can make your time more efficient, so that's also another way of saving energy and time. And the best thing about internet technologies now versus 5-7 years ago is that we can get things automated. That's
Mm.
the
AI.
ultimate time saver. Emails, we can have templates and we can have reminders, and billing, we can have automatic monthly billing stuff, and ordering. There's even inventory management, ways to automatically order when your inventory is low. So all these things are ways that internet technologies can help people save time and money and effort and energy and frustration, and the list goes on.
And the list goes on. Ooh, those
Yep.
benefits. Think about the benefits, y'all. It's important because
And the
Right.
that's what we
meaning,
want. And he said the need,
the meaning.
the meaning,
Yes, a benefit is good, but what does it mean?
what does it mean?
Mm.
And
What does
there's
it?
for that local service business owner, that's the key right there is the meaning to the customer. Doesn't matter how much you know and how right you might be. The customer's perception of the solution is ultimately what counts.
It's what ultimately counts. I love that. That's true. Because it's interesting. It's a lot of businesses in general think about the features. As we've learned, right, in our community, a lot of businesses think about the features, and some think about the benefits as well. It may not only have a certain amount of benefits, and then the meaning. What does it mean? You went a step further. Shout out to Jim Edwards.
Absolutely.
He just educates. I love it. I love it. But that's huge. So I appreciate you sharing that, Monty. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
we take that for granted. I want to say this one last thing on that. We take it for granted features, because we understand, oh, well, this feature means this because we're in that niche. We've been doing it for however long. And so for someone else, that feature doesn't necessarily map out to the benefit. And then it doesn't necessarily map out to their meaning.
Mm.
Right.
That's real because it's like, what value does it bring if it's not gonna really? Yeah, what value does it bring if it's not for you? If that makes sense.
Yeah, if they don't see the value,
Yeah.
Right.
perceived value, but that's what it all comes back down to.
Seed value. Right on. Right on, Monty.
It's
I
amazing.
love that.
You do you have any like research resources for businesses to use when it comes to that? Because I know you mentioned tools and automated stuff, but do you have any like specific resources for that?
Boy, it's so niche dependent and individual dependent, because I have one client who asked me to help her set up Google Voice and some other stuff that I just thought, geez, that I don't feel like that's a good way to go, but that's what she wanted. So I set her up on it, and she was totally happy. So um, basically, Google, YouTube, and time are the not trying to be facetious, but those are the top three things that you are going to need to use in promoting your local service business. How you use them will be different based on all those other parameters we've been talking about. But as Carl said, get some coaching. There's marketing firms, there's IT consulting businesses, there's just flat out people saying, I'm a coach. Doesn't matter if you find someone who is done what you're doing or something similar and had success with it, then that's the person to follow and get more information from.
Right on. And there's you, right?
That's me.
That's you. That's you. I love it. I love it. And so, How has the internet changed the way local service business owners market their services? I mean, in some ways, we kind of know, or some of us kind of know, but it's really, really that's a deep question, and as even as we speak, it's changing now, right?
Oh, yeah, at an exponential rate. It's been changing and will continue to change. But really, what's changed more is where people pay attention. So before the internet, people, all they had was radio, TV, newspaper, billboards, physical paper and objects. So after the internet, we have this whole new world of social media and search engines that have created new ways to target, rather than, like I was referring before, we want to target our ideal customer, our avatar, rather than just blasting out to the masses. And radio stations, they would use the demographics to try and narrow that down and get to a better target audience. So you would advertise on a radio station that had people that were listeners that were more in your target audience, but you didn't have very much control of that. Billboards relied on geographics. So you were looking for, well, where can I put my billboard where the most amount of people are going to drive by, the most amount of people are going to see it. But internet technologies, we're being able to be elaborate with our demographics. We're able to target specific things, specific likes or dislikes. We can actually target, don't send my ad out to somebody who likes this thing. So for me, it's great. Don't send my ad out to someone who likes Mac and follows Mac, because I don't work on Macs. I work on PCs. So if they like Mac and like Apple and follow Apple, they're probably an Apple user and they're probably not my ideal client.
Right. It's really cool that you could be that specific. That's one of my favorite things. Even if you do organic marketing or paid ads, you could be a specific and niche down. And I love what you said earlier. You went deeper right there, because a lot of us think about niches. Some people like niches, some people don't, actually, too. But you also mentioned the individual and the individual's preferences. And that's a big deal. I don't hear that a lot. Some people don't want to take the time. Some business owners don't want to take the time to care about what the individual wants. Although we say customer service, right? That's a big That's a big part of it too.
Yep.
But what I tell people too sometimes is like, all of this right here, this is market research, where years ago we had to pay tons of money and it wasn't at our fingertips, right? But now it's like literally more than it's like at our eyeballs. We could just blink and it's there if we pay attention.
Yep.
So I love the thing that you talked about, because it reminds me of making sure I need to make sure, have my checklist, make sure I pay attention to what people need and what they need as individuals, as opposed to just a group, or what, what I think the demographics are and all those things. All those things are important, but it's important that I think about the individual and what's interests them, right?
Yeah.
So,
and even though there's all these different kinds of people, when you focus on one individual, you're actually focused on dozens of people. So you can just pretend you're talking to one person, but you're actually talking to a bunch more. And then you can go to the next person and know, okay, well, I'm treating them specific for their needs, but there's other people out there like them. So I'm not actually talking to just one person. It's just they are helping me focus my message to that type of person.
Wow.
That might have been the most motivational way to describe an avatar. People mention avatars and stuff like that, but it's really a person. Yeah, like you said, just a person that can be so many people. Though. That's so cool. Another way to look at it. It's amazing.
Right. And also, Monte, that's I'm blown away, because you know why? So for me, not just me, but I can speak for a lot of people that I've even spoken to, a lot of marketers, a lot of business owners. One of the very reasons why they're not attracted to the idea of having an avatar and knowing your target audience, or focusing on a niche, or focus on that one individual, is because they feel like, wow, I'm only going to speak to one person. But even what you said, hey, that one person represents many people. So that's like a person,
Right.
We can have that perspective. Like, this is a lot of people. This is many people. Like CJ mentioned, more than 7 billion people on the planet. That's a good group amount of people, and you're serving, because some people, it's about serving them. It's about meeting their needs. It's about helping them, and they want to help as many as possible. But even focusing on that niche and thinking about it in that way, I know for me, it helps me to think, wow, that is a lot of people. So I don't have to worry. If I focus on my niche, if I choose to, right? I'm still meeting a lot of people's needs.
Yep.
That's a golden nugget right there.
Yeah. I make sure to rewind every single point. I feel like everything's had a gem in here already. It's a powerful episode right here.
Put them on reels.
Good deal. Reels.
Put them on reels. Put them on reels. Monte, if one wants to find you online and they're a local business, where can one find you?
Well, my website is techstrong.info. TECHSTRONG.info.
Love it.
Link will be in the description.
Links will be in the description. So pay attention, everyone. There you have it. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.